Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks very much. Nicola, absolutely inspiring to hear how you got into your career, and I know that your kids are going to have any challenges if they've got a role model like yourself to look up to, so that was inspiring. I suppose for myself, I'll just put this up first. I'll just kick in anyway. So, as Lachlan mentioned, yeah, I'm an Irish guy who's born and raised in Ireland, educated there, born back in 1979, which makes me feel very old when I look around the room. So from a little bit about me, I'm one of 5 kids. I grew up on a farm in rural Ireland. I was a pretty active child. I loved was involved in music, played a few musical instruments, a bit of sport. In school, I was the academic one in the family, so that didn't mean I was a straight A student. I just, pretended I studied. Sorry, can people hear me in the back? I might need to stand a bit closer. Yeah. In school, I basically, when I came to that to thinking about my career, what did I want to study? It basically was a case of going to my career guidance counsellor and he going, well, what are you good at? And in my studies, it was, maths, science, biology, chemistry. They were the ones I was performing quite well at. So you put them into the system, into the algorithm, and then spat out, you need to do science, probably biotechnology. That's got a good balance of chemistry and biology and maths. And also in Ireland, the pharmaceutical industry is pretty huge. And it's one of the biggest drivers for the economy there, so it's probably equivalent to what mining is to Australia. That was kind of where I was seeing my career trajectory going. My dad actually worked in the pharmaceutical industry, so I kind of sought advice through people that he worked with. So, fast tracking to university. So I went to uni, Dublin City University, so as a country boy arriving in the city, that was a lot to take in. I'm sure many of you have had that experience as well. I was trying to see if I can expand this, but yeah, good. My first semester I studied quite hard and did quite well. I was in near the top of the class. Then I started to realise this isn't all about study, and I started to have a bit of fun. And as Nicola was saying about your career, have fun, I started to understand that in university. And for me, it was really kind of getting myself out of my shell, and really that was kind of the start of me really trying to understand myself and who was my tribe and who to hang out with and so on. So that was a big learning. When I got to graduate, I discovered that I'm not really ready to leave uni. I love this life. And it wasn't so much that I loved the study, I just loved the university life. So I continued studying for another year. I went to the University of Limerick, where I did a postgrad in chemical engineering. And that was a pretty intense year, maybe because I wasn't absolutely passionate about engineering. So if I could just raise a hand, how many engineers do we have here? So it's a fair portion of the room. Just a warning, I'm not encouraging anyone to go off and quit their job as an engineer tomorrow morning. I'm here just to talk about my experience, but please take what you will from it. I'm not at all advocating for you to go and do that. But with me, my career began in the pharmaceutical industry in Cork. So Cork's the second largest city in Ireland, which is the same size as Geelong, so it's quite a small place. And I worked there for about 2.5 years. And I basically, I got in as a project or validation engineer on a new pharmaceutical plant that was being built, and that was a great experience. Interesting as you might find, when you start out in your career, you kind of think, I've learned all this stuff for 4 or 5 years and now I'm going to just apply it. And quite often you find, right, I'm not using any of my brain here, or this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. But with that, I actually had my mind on another goal, which was to go travelling. I always had a thirst for it. My 2 older siblings went travelling while I was in uni, and I just couldn't wait to get out and see the world. So that brought me, as Lachlan mentioned, I was in Asia for 6 months travelling around on my own. And that was actually quite a significant time in my life, because it just, you know, when I traveled on my own, I basically did it 6 months Asia, 6 months in New Zealand, backpacking and working. It really gave me a lot of time to reflect on myself, and really, that was a bit of, that was really challenging, but also, as a result, it was quite confidence building. And that was a really key milestone for me. And I suppose as I talk through this, I'm talking about my career trajectory, but really I'm talking about, you know, there are points in time in my life, and my career was one aspect of it, not everything. And I think it's so important to talk about the personal stuff that influenced me along the way. So I came to Australia. I started work at CSL with a consultancy, and that was where I spent the first portion of my life. It was actually through a friend I'd met at University of Limerick that I met at the races. He said, oh, you know, I came down here for the Melbourne Cup, and he said, oh, we're looking for engineers where we are, and that's how it started. That was really interesting in the sense that, sorry, just checking the time. There we go. That it was still a steep learning curve. I only had 2.5 years experience at that stage. I was continuing on and really trying to learn and grow and so on. And but it was quite a bit of a tension. Like, I was really working hard, but I wasn't feeling that I was loving it. And kind of halfway through that, I started doing some community work, and it was actually running a running event that we run every year. And it was an ovarian cancer research fundraiser, and that's been going for 11 years, and I'm still heavily involved. It's actually on next month if anyone's interested in doing it. But I found I love doing that. I love doing this community engagement, stakeholder management, getting people together, driving towards a really good goal and really important goal. And I found that I was actually starting to enjoy that a lot more than my job, and I was actually trying to do some of that in my job, and sneakily, you know, doing some work on that on the side when I shouldn't have been. But that was a lesson to me that, look, this isn't where my passion is. So I went out and I started going to some career expos to go and find my career, and that wasn't so easy to do. But at one of those, I met this lady who was a life coach, and I set up a time to meet with her, and that was a huge important thing for me, because it got me to look at, well, what is it that I want? What are my values? And part of that was doing personality testing, really working out what are my strengths, and using a strengths-based approach to really define what type of jobs I should be looking at. But engineering was kind of on the bottom pile of work I should be going towards, so I realised, well, I need to do something here. So I put together a bit of a strategy around, well, this is what I need to do to change this. And I went out and I networked, I spoke to people, and I found the energy was just amazing as I was going through that. And I just kept putting it out there. I was talking, I can talk, but anyone can do it. Just talk about what your passions are, what your values are, and you'd be surprised that the conversation would strike up. Eventually something came back to me when someone said that I used to be a chemical engineer. I work in the international development space, and need someone to go on maternity leave, on my maternity leave role. And I was asked to apply for her role, so I went through the process, and literally I got it. And that was a huge change for me. I started out a career in World Vision Australia into my next phase, where I managed quite a technical, I was second in charge of a technical team, computer security and climate change. So I felt a bit overwhelmed at the first. I was going, what am I doing now? I felt like an imposter. But it was, I then found that I was able to transfer my skills from engineering, bring a bit of structure into what could sometimes be a little quite disruptive environment. Not in this, more disruptive in the sense that things are moving a lot and moving all the time. And that was where I kind of, you know, really started getting into the social impact space. And I then moved into another role with a smaller not-for-profit with some people here that crossed paths with me, with Engineers Without Borders. And I took on an international director and chief operating officer role there. That was quite a change because I went to a much smaller organization, took a pay cut. There was a lot tighter resources, so there was added pressure with the senior role as well. During that time, we had our first child, so that was quite a crunch time, and it really resonates with me when you talk about family. That gave me a different perspective about work-life balance. It wasn't just about me and my wife, or it was actually about our family and what was best for us. So I started looking at, well, I don't think I can actually work in not-for-profit. We bought a house, you know, I had 3 minutes to feed, but including myself, was the big one. And, but we had another child on the way, and we were thinking, well, I need to actually do something that actually makes this a bit more balanced, and that's where I started looking in government, but for also another reason. One of the reasons is that there's such a great work-life balance and culture within that space, and with particular departments, and one of the, that was a big driver for me, but also for me, collective impact, which is that notion of multiple sectors coming together, is something I'm very passionate about. So that's where you bring people from the corporate sector, community sector, not-for-profit, and government. And I hadn't the experience in the government side, so that was a real opportunity for me to try and scope that out. I had to look quite hard for that. I couldn't get a foot in the door. I think because I hadn't that experience, I was really struggling with that. But eventually, it came through. I started work with state trustees in Footscray. That was my first kind of government role. And then within that, as our second child was born, we were looking at maybe we should move to the country, because that's what we want. We need to get out of the rat race. This is really busy. Trying to keep up with childcare and all that. I know this is all stuff in the future. Maybe some of you have kids, but this is stuff that has really, really made a big difference to me and my wife and how we went about making our decisions. So an opportunity came up. It was like the planets aligning, and it was listening, you know, for those opportunities and taking them. I got a role 3 months ago with the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. And it's just been absolutely fantastic. It feels like all my different worlds have come together. I'm getting, you know, the best of the engineering, project management, community engagement, sustainability. And that brings me back to today, where what's the future hold? I'd love to get more into this collective impact space. I don't really know what it's going to look like in 5, 10 years' time, but I just want to keep working what I'm doing for now. But balance is the key, you know. There's my 2 kids up there, and a 2.5-year-old, Aiden and Clinton, and to me, I want to see them, you know, every day when I get home. I want to make sure that I'm around for them and spend the time with them. And in terms of advice to pass on, I would say understand your values, understand yourself. Yes, absolutely go for opportunities and when they come up, but really try and take time to work out who you are and what your drivers are, because this one thing I learned was I looked at all the hard subjects that spat into that algorithm, but never looked at the softer skills, and I've realised that actually I'm really good at connecting with people and enjoy talking to people. That wasn't anything I considered when I went to looking at my career. So really do understand what your drivers are from within, not from outside. Do seek advice. It's okay to change direction, like Nicola said. You know, things will change, your circumstances will change. Don't be afraid to change. You don't have to have a linear pathway. Network. Some people are very comfortable in these types of environments. Some people really struggle, and you don't have to be talking to everyone at these events. You can just get in touch with someone you find through LinkedIn, or get the business card, have coffee with them. Set up a coffee budget. That's a really good tool to have. Diversity is valuable. So that's diversity in all sorts of ways. You know, from gender, from different backgrounds, you know, age, and so on. But also diversity in your skill set, applying it into a different sector. That's really valuable. I've learned that's been really well received. And strive for a balanced life. So your career isn't everything. Try not to put all your eggs into one basket. It's important to have balance in your life. If you don't, chances are you'll burn out at some point. So that's something I have to constantly keep checking. But that's pretty much my bit for now. So thank you for listening.